Eid Mubarak to you. Thank you very much for joining us. This is Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. I'm Ruth Aguela. Well, as the nation grapples with insecurity and COVID-19 pandemic, Muslims have been reminded to continue to demonstrate the virtues of peace, love and tolerance as exemplified by Prophet Muhammad. Now, this was the crux of the messages by some Muslim faithful in Jos during the Eid-el-Kabir prayers. Let's hear from Kim Gwatz.
The congregation of fiber monks for the Eid-el-Kabir prayers was unusual, with the COVID-19 protocol strictly adhered to. Delivering the sermon, Sheikh Khalid Aliu Abubakar admonished worshippers not to allow insecurity and the impact of COVID-19 to demoralize their faith, but continue to pray and support the government to overcome the challenges.
All hands must be on deck. All we must come together and really head on face this scourge in order that we save ourselves from or against the wrath of God.
All Nigerians to continue to pray for the country, to brothers keepers, to ensure that we are good neighbors to one another. And by the grace of God, if we can all keep the tenets of our religion, I believe it will be over. Very soon, the insecurity, the pandemic, whatever will go. This may be a trial moment for all of us.
In Jos, Kim Gwatz, NTA News.
The Emir of Zazzau, Al-Haji Shehu Idris, was joined by thousands of worshippers at the Eid prayer ground to observe the Eid-el-Kabir prayer. Mohammed Ibrahim Salihu reports that worshippers adhered to the COVID-19 protocols.
Of Zazzau and thousands of Muslim worshippers observe Eid-el-Kabir prayer at the Zazzau Emirates Eid ground amid coronavirus pandemic. The COVID-19 protocols were strictly adhered to during the Eid prayers. The Eid prayer was led by the chief imam of the Emirates, Sheikh Al-Hatu Qasim, followed by sermon.
The only way to survive peacefully, to get out of all these problems, is to get back to the teachings of the Holy Quran.
This is a great day for every one of us. We always pray to God to give us more years to see it.
Well, my message is for them to continue to live in peace in view of the current situation that we are in.
The Emir also enjoins the public to adhere to recommendations of the NCDC and doctors as coronavirus is real. His Royal Highness Al-Haji Dr. Shehu Idris rode back to his palace from Eid prayer without receiving greetings from his people as usual to avoid social gatherings amid coronavirus pandemic. In Zaria, Muhammad Ibrahim Salihu, NTA News.
And in Bidda, Muslim faithful joined their counterparts all over the world to observe the Eid-el-Kabir prayer to Rakat prayer. Isu Nupe and Chairman Niger State Council of Traditional Rulers, Al-Haji Yahya Abubakar, observed the prayer at Usman Zaki Central Mosque Bidda. Jones Ajayi completes the report.
In line with the directive of the state government, Etsunupe and Chairman Niger State Council of Traditional Rulers Al-Haji Yahya Abubakar observed the prayer at his ancestral mosque. Etsu Yahya Abubakar described the day as significant in the lives of the Muslim faithful. As such, they should seek the Almighty's blessings in their supplications. He enjoined the faithful to ensure that they observe the laid-down COVID-19 protocols as they celebrate the festival. The monarch prayed God to bring to an end the coronavirus pandemic to enable people return to their normal way of life. He called on his subjects to be security conscious at all times and report any suspicious persons in their areas to the appropriate security agency to curb the security challenges in the country. Etuya Abubakar then prayed the Almighty to direct the leaders aright, especially President Muhammadu Buhari and Governor Abubakar Sani Bello of Niger State.
To those who are rich and strong, they should help the handicapped and the poor. But there, you see, the society will be very decent. There will be less crisis.
Chief Imam of Bidda, Sheikh Adamu Yakatu, prayed for peace and stability of the land and also led the 2 rakat prayer.
Allahu Akbar.
Jones Ajayi, NTA News.
Similarly, Muslim faithful in Calabar Cross River State offered prayers for God's intervention to end the dreaded coronavirus pandemic, with a call on the government to also give attention to other dreaded diseases plaguing the nation. This was as Muslims celebrated Eid-el-Kabir, where messages centered on piety, love and tolerance. Maureen Liu Ajam tells us more.
Faithful who spoke on the significance of the celebration also called for practice of the teachings of the religion on love and unity as a panacea for security challenges and other societal vices plaguing the country.
We want Almighty Allah to at least assist us and make this pandemic that we call COVID-19 to wipe away in the whole world. We should live in peace with each one and another.
We thank God. God don't show us Eid-el-Kabir for this year. And we pray God, make you wave away this coronavirus who is claiming people's life.
Faithful were also charged to cooperate with the government, especially in the fight against the coronavirus pandemic, to save lives. In Calabar, Maureen Liu Ajom, NTA News.
Well, Edo State is also not left out, as Muslim faithful in various locations turned out for the congregational prayers to celebrate the Feast of Sacrifice, otherwise known as Eid-el-Kabir. Agatha Egwari Ujo gives us highlight of the annual festival in Benin and Auchi.
Muslims in Benin City turned out for the congregational prayer at the Eid ground on Ibuba Slope. Chief Imam Abdul Fattah Nabulele urged them to use the period to pray for peaceful governorship election.
Also be ready to make sacrifice on behalf of ourselves and our fellow human beings. And when you do that, God will be there to continue to assist you.
In Edo North, the J2 Eid ground witnessed a large crowd of faithful who participated in the prayers. It was a call for all parties to eschew violence all through the period of election.
Election will come and go, and we need peace. I'll be talking to my subject, especially the politicians. We don't need anybody to lose his life also.
At the Arafat Mosque in Auchi, the prayer was restricted to only adult males, in adherence to COVID-19 guidelines.
We are to bear in mind that God is the truth, and God is justice.
The symbolic slaughtering of the ram was observed in all prayer grounds. In Benin, Agatha Egwaruju, NTA News.
And more on the Salah celebration, Emir of Suleja Malam Muhammad Awal Ibrahim has called for strict compliance with expert advice for positive results in the fight against the coronavirus pandemic. Mukhtar Awakarwo reports that this formed part of the Emir's Salah message.
The Eid-el-Kabir prayer was shifted to the Suleja Central Mosque in compliance with COVID-19 safety protocol in an effort to curb the spread of the pandemic. The presiding Imam, Sheikh Abdullahi Qasim, led the two-unit Eid-el-Kabir congregational prayer. In his sermon, Sheikh Abdullahi Qasim, while discouraging people from building houses on waterways, prayed for Allah's protection against the activities of armed robbers, kidnappers, and other crimes. Similarly, the Emir of Zazzau Suleja, Malam Muhammad Awal Ibrahim, as part of his Allah message, disclosed that the emirate is establishing a structure to fight rape and molestation of women.
We witnessed a serious flooding, which took a lot of lives in this town. And this loss of lives came about as a result of our refusal to be law-abiding.
Traditional title holders paid homage and renewed their allegiance to the Emir. In Suleja, Mukhtar Abubakar, NTA News.
Well, our first stop on Nationwide is Lagos. Let's join Adeola. She has more stories for us on Nationwide. Adeola, in the spirit of the season, Eid Mubarak.
I wish you the same, Ruth. Emergency responders are battling with fire outbreak at number 16, Ladipo Street, Mushin, Lagos. The fire is suspected to have emanated from a mattress shop in one of the closely located buildings this afternoon. The responders are, however, having severe operational challenges to fully extinguish the fire owing to the huge crowd who have failed to comply with the social distancing order to give the officers free hand to work. The emergency responders, led by the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, are on top of their game to stop the spread of the fire to other areas. A day like this in Lagos used to be associated with fanfare, being the second day of Eid-el-Kabir, with beaches and other recreation centers filled to the brim. But coronavirus has temporarily halted this, as most Muslims stay in the confines of their home to celebrate the festival. Hingino John Adams went round town to feel the pulse of the people.
Ganiu Olajide is here at Tejiosho to buy his Salah ram. While some slaughtered theirs on Eid Day, he could not, and he gives his reasons.
It's due to money issue, because yesterday I went around to get, but I couldn't see. The ones that I'm seeing is too much for what I have.
Ganiu purchased the ram for 90,000 naira to celebrate with his family. A visit to the popular Bagada Ram market shows that, just like Ganiu, some people are there to get theirs too. But some non-Muslims also buy for personal consumption with the hope that the prices of the ram would have further dropped.
It's very, very expensive.
At least this market is more better than last year, because as of last year, by this time, everywhere is full with rams.
I say what you buy last year and this one is ×3, not ×2.
Away from the ram markets, Lagos is almost in a sleeping mode, as the normal beehive associated with festivities were absent on the streets. The usual gridlock is also missing, but work continues on the third mainland bridge. It's actually a long weekend, and all eyes are now on Monday, with expectation that more activities will return to the city. In Lagos, Hingino John Adams, NTA News.
Meanwhile, 319 Nigerians stranded in the United States due to the COVID-19 lockdown have arrived through an Ethiopian airline at the Muritala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos. Details in our subsequent news. And stamping out human trafficking in Nigeria requires collective efforts and sincerity of purpose. This was the submission of some concerned Nigerians at an awareness work organized by the National Agency for the Prohibition of Persons, NAPTIP. Lagos Command, Annie Daniels, has details.
Available statistics by the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, Lagos, reveals that between January 2020 till date, the agency has rescued 250 victims of human trafficking, with 35 suspects going through investigations. Commandant, NAPTIP Lagos, Daniel Atokolo, stated that poverty, insurgency, general unrest, unemployment are among reasons for illegal migration.
Among them is a 13, 14-year-old girl. Some of them are even pregnant. They were brought purely for sexual exploitation. The monies, most of them didn't have control of the revenue, access to the process of what they were doing. Somebody brought them.
It is a prevalent issue and people don't understand. This is a $150 billion industry. It is a cartel.
These concerned Nigerians pointed out that human trafficking is a violation of a person's right, and it exists because the vulnerable, especially women and girls, are taken advantage of, and until those found guilty are brought to book, the illicit trade will persist.
A lot of victims are actually afraid to come out. Sometimes when they have been, rescued, they may be unwilling to come forward and give relevant evidence because of fear of reprisal attacks on family.
The Trafficking in Persons Act was enacted in 2003. You can either pay fine or you are sentenced. But the act has been amended and there is no option of fine again. That means that once you are convicted, you have to pay fine, and you will also serve in terms of imprisonment
The consensus is that people should take a stand against human trafficking and acts capable of destroying lives and destinies. In Lagos, Annie Daniels, NTA News.
So much from this end for now. We'll take a break and the news will continue thereafter with Ruth in Abuja.
We're glad to have you there. Well, we want to head to Sokoto now to join Abdurrahman. I'm sure there are a lot of stories there from the Eid-el-Kabir celebration. Abdurrahman, Eid Mubarak.
Hello, Ruth. Eid Mubarak too. The Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, has tasked the air component troops of the ongoing Operation Hadar-in-Daji not to relent in the commitment to providing peaceful atmosphere for farmers to fully participate in this year's rainy season farming activities across the northwest geopolitical zone of the country. Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar gave the charge in a message to a special Eid-el-Kabir launch organized for troops at the NAV 207 Quick Response Group, headquarters Gusau. The report. Wining and dining with troops in mission areas during festive period is an initiative of the current leadership of the Nigerian Air Force, which is aimed at boosting the morale of the forces. It is also aimed at fostering the comradeship, lessen tension in the operation environment, as well as reassuring the troops of the Nigerian Air Force commitment to provide them with the much needed support to execute their mission. The 2020 Eid-el-Kabir Chief of Air Staff's launch with the 207 Quick Response Group and Special Operation Forces attached to the Operation Hadar-in-Daji held in Gusau, Zamfara State Capital, aptly captured his vision of the service. The Chief of the Air Staff, represented by the Officer Commanding Special Operations Command Bauchi Air Vice Marshal Charles Owo, said the Nigerian Air Force has taken giant strides by establishing 3 more commands with regiment groups, inducting new platforms and reactivating grounded ones. He charged troops not to relent in ensuring that the armed bandits do not prevent farmers from fully participating in farming activities this year.
We must not allow ourselves to be taken unawares, and therefore enjoin all NAF personnel to remain disciplined and not to relent in their efforts towards ensuring the safety and security of our citizens.
Zamfara State Governor Bello Muhammad, represented by the State Commissioner for Security and Home Affairs, Abubakar Muhammad Dauran, applauded the Nigerian Air Force for its gallantry and dogged determination to end all acts of banditry across the Northwest in collaboration with other security agencies, stressing that the effort is yielding the desired results.
I want to passionately appeal and solicit the command to continue with its energy and cooperation it has extended to other sister security agencies, especially the ability and ensuring that the unrepentant armed bandits are apprehended and brought to book.
Earlier, the Commander 207 Quick Response Group Gusau thanked the Chief of the Air Staff for organizing the Eid-el-Kabir launch, describing the event as a morale booster. Part of Eid-el-Kabir celebration is a long tradition of roasting the meat of the sacrificial animals. Correspondent reports on the significance of roasting meat in Sokoto. Roasting of meat during the Eid-el-Kabir celebration is age-long tradition in Sokoto and other parts of northern Nigeria. The roasting of meat is done through bringing the sacrificial animals together after slaughtering by different people, families, and communities. A large fire is made where the animals are arranged around it and roasted.
A specific culture, particularly in Sokoto, Kebbi, and Zamfara, that's where they roast meat like that. Other places, they don't normally roast it like that. As soon as they slaughter their ram, they cut it and then prepare their own in their homes. But when I was a child, when I grew, I met my grandparents. They have been doing this. So, and the importance of this thing is, you see, this is a festival. So on Saturday we used to slaughter a ram it like this one, and then later the following day we start to share as a gift.
The ceremonial display strengthened the bond of unity and social cohesion among various people with different cultural backgrounds.
That's it from here. Back to Ruth in Abuja for continuation of Nationwide. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Abdurrahman. And just in line with what you just showed us, animal sacrifice, we know, is one of the unique aspects for Eid-el-Adha, also referred to as Eid-el-Kabir, which is performed on the first day of Eid, which is the 10th of Dhul-Hijjah, and the 11th, 12th, and the 13th. Well, what are those rules that should be observed to ensure the reward that comes with the sacrifice? Well, joining me in the studio for some enlightenment on this is an Islamic scholar, Sheikh Hussein Zakaria. Eid Mubarak.
Eid Mubarak, Eid inshallah.
All right, so what can you tell us? What does it entail? I'm talking about the 3 days window for the sharing, the slaughtering and sharing of the sacrificial animal. Should the family just consume everything within those 3 days, or should it go beyond that period?
Yeah, initially when the Adha or the sacrifice was actually introduced in Islam, it was in the first year of Medinan time. At that time, the rule was nobody should keep the meat for more than 3 days, because there were many indigent people, many needy people who were in need of what to eat and sustain themselves. So the Prophet encouraged people by not preserving the meat or holding the meat for themselves only. They should share it all within 3 days. But after a while, when the Muslims became thrived, then the liberty was given and the embargo was actually lifted, that you can now do whatever you want to do with the meat. However, the ulamas have classified the sharing into 3. One, you keep 1/3 for yourself and your family, 1/3 for your friends and relations who are coming to visit you as gift, and then 1/3 for the indigents who are looking for what to eat on a daily basis, that is sadaqah, alms. Or you can share it into 2. One part for the people who are in need of it, and then 1/3 for your friends and relations, and you don't have nothing to eat. Or you can have half for yourself, and then half for people to share to the indigents. Or you can still have also the liberty to keep and hold everything for yourself, where nobody needs what you are going to give. For example, you are living in Europe, where everybody is comfortable with what is going to eat, or you're living in Arab nations where everybody is comfortable. Nobody needs your meat. So how do you meat and then eat? Or you can give it out all to those who are in need because you're always having what to eat, or maybe a medical advisor told you not to eat red meat, so you have to give it out.
It's good to always give it out.
It's always actually you should not be greedy and in keeping everything for yourself. Neither you should be stingy in not giving anybody any piece.
All right. No. So, Sheikh, what can you tell us guarantees the reward of the sacrifice? And while you're telling us the reward, what also will constitute an obstacle to that?
The most important aspect of this sacrifice is to do it for Allah's sake. Allah doesn't need the flow of blood from the animal you slaughter, neither the quantity of the meat that you slaughter. What Allah needs and wants from you is the submission to Him, the taqwa, the feeling of fear that somebody higher and above you has control over you, and He was the one who will give you amongst many who haven't gotten nothing. So this feeling and this belief is the most important aspect of it. This is what actually denies you from having the reward from Allah, is to do it for a sharab. When you buy a big ram, or you buy many rams, or you buy many cows, or you buy many camels, and then you want to show people that you are rich and you can slaughter as many animals as you can at the mercy of those who do not who have nothing to eat and nothing to slaughter. This arrogance is actually deprives you from that rewards which Allah enshrined for anybody who slaughters in His name.
Okay, lastly, very briefly, what would you advise Muslims beyond the celebration? What lessons can they learn from Prophet Muhammad?
Actually, the slaughtering of animals is to spread love, neighborhoodness, to spread friendship, to feel the feelings of the indigents, to share the little you have or the more you have for those who do not have, and instill in them that happiness for these 4 days that are very, very important in the celebrations of Eid-el-Adha.
Thank you very much, Sheikh Hussein Zakaria. And Eid Mubarak once again. I hope you extend the love to others.
I said to everybody, Barakah Sallah, and may Allah repeat it for us without coronavirus, without COVID-19,
yes,
inshallah. One will have a place to share our love and friendship, inshallah, in a wider place.
Amen to that. All right, let's look at other issues. President Muhammadu Buhari has sent warm felicitations to Olumide Akpata on his election as the president of Nigeria Bar Association, wishing him every success in charting a path of professional development and fulfillment for lawyers in the country. The president believes that Mr. Akpata's vast knowledge and experience in litigation, corporate world and engaging with government at different levels will greatly benefit the bar and indeed all Nigerians in a modern democracy. He assures the new leadership of the NBA of the continued cooperation of his administration in addressing the broad range of challenges and opportunities facing the legal profession and the country. Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje has secured the release of 48 inmates of correctional homes. This was the governor's gesture in the spirit of Eid-el-Kabir celebrations. Abdullahi Mustafa has that report.
Visitation to correctional and rehabilitation centers are a routine engagement of the governor during Eid celebrations. Although all festivities have been cancelled due to COVID-19 pandemic in Kano, this particular engagement was not affected. He visited the Gorandusa Correctional Center to wish them happy Salah. Not only that, he announced the release of 48 of them, whose cases were examined by the State Committee on Prerogative of Mercy.
We are doing this because there was an earlier directive by Mr. President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 4 years ago that all state governments should endeavor to decongest the prisons so that the prisons could be well managed.
Governor Ganduje enjoined them never to engage in anything that could take them back to correctional homes. Kano State Controller of Correctional Service Magaji Ahmad Abdullahi thanked the governor for the routine visit and continued support to facilities and inmates. Each of the 48 freed inmates was given 5,000 naira for transportation back to their respective destinations. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
Let's look at security. Governor Samuel Otom has advocated urgent need for government at all levels to be more committed to addressing issues of security, poverty, quality education and overblown population to ensure rapid development. This formed the basis of a paper on security and national development, a case of Benue State. He presented via webinar to participants of Executive Intelligence Management Course 13 of the National Institute for Security Studies in Abuja during their tour of the state. Charles Abba has more.
Governor Samuel Otom pointed out that Benue State has continued to face challenges of security threats such as farmers' herders conflicts, kidnapping, armed robbery, cultism, land boundary disputes, and the likes. He, however, indicated that the state government has adopted several strategies to tackle the menace. These, he said, include the enactment of the open grazing prohibition and ranches establishment law, sensitization of farmers' herders on the need to embrace the law, and commitment in supporting security agencies to effectively combat crimes.
As a result, thousands of Benue indigenes have been displaced from their ancestral communities and still take refuge at the various internal displaced persons camps, while some communities have been occupied by the herders.
Governor Tom, who noted that insecurity is a clog in the wheels of economic development of most less developed nations, advocated adequate funding and training of security forces to effectively confront the security challenges in the country. In Makudi, Charles Abba, NTA News.
And more on security, we hear that the 2 victims of the leftover dynamite explosion at the robbery scene at First Bank Okeho in Kajola local government area of Oyo State are responding to treatment. Correspondent Rufai Animashaun Badmos reports that the State Police Commissioner assured the people that everyone involved in the robbery will be arrested.
The First Bank branch at Okeho in Kajola local government area of Oyo State has been attacked by men of the underworld using dynamite and AK-47 guns. The raid was short-lived as a combination of the town vigilantes and the police resulted in the armed robbers rushing into their white 18-seater bus before having an accident. 3 of the suspected armed robbers were set ablaze by angry youth. The State Police Commissioner, Inwachuku and Wowo, who had visited the scene of the incident for a first-hand assessment, was met by protesting youths. Efforts to enable them calm down as a result of the need to evacuate leftover dynamite proved abortive before the explosion of one of them. A youth and a policeman were fatally wounded.
As we speak, they have been able to also raise the alarm, alerted all their operatives to look out for the remnants of these bandits who would have been on the run.
The police commissioner also assured the people of the state that every effort will be made to rid the state of criminal elements. The injured are now receiving treatment in the hospital in Ibadan. Rofia Animashaun Badmos, NTA News.
A total of 1,600 persons living with disability across the 16 local government areas of Kwara State will benefit from the 3-month federal government Special Public Works Program. The program is expected to run between October and December 2020. Iyabode Olorunshola has details.
The federal government program, among other things, is to give a sense of belonging to the physically challenged persons. Beneficiaries are expected to be between age 18 and 50 years. 30% of those to be recruited are women. It is not necessary for the beneficiaries to be indigenes of Kwara State, but must be resident in the state. Services to be rendered according to the state committee chairman of the program do not require any special skill. They are also expected to be the poorest of the poor in each of the local government areas.
It is important that this program that the government has set up, everybody benefits. But we want 20% to be educated or have a tertiary degree because there's some type of work that they will be doing for other government agencies, like capturing data. So that requires some sort of education.
Stakeholders are applauding this initiative of President Muhammadu Buhari, which is expected to provide jobs for 774,000 Nigerian youths through the scheme. The program was attended by clusters of the physically challenged persons in Kwara State. Iyabode Olorunshola, NTA News.
Another batch of 212 Nigerians stranded in Egypt have arrived to the country. According to a tweet by the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, the evacuees arrived at Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, today. The latest evacuation brings to about 7,000 the number of Nigerians that have been successfully brought back home under the emergency arrangement since the global lockdown in March as part of the measures to contain the spread of COVID-19. And a bit of politics here. The State Congress of the People's Democratic Party in Imo State has commenced. Delegates were seen arriving in the venue as early as 8 o'clock in the morning. They're expected to be accredited while voting will take place at the Kanwanko Stadium, Owerri. The Congress, which has been attended by members of the PDP from the National and State House of Assembly, also has the immediate past governor of Imo State, Emeka Ihe Dioha, in attendance. Now, it is expected that the Congress will produce a new state chairman, vice chairman, secretary and other officials who will run the affairs of the party at the state level. All right, let's look at other issues. Acquiring skills, mentorship and leading by example have been described as critical for any leader. This came up at the Nigerian Prize for Leadership Third National Leadership Dialogue Series with the theme, Rethinking Leadership, focus on competence, governance and impact on the society. Haman Jabani has part of the webinar and now reports.
The third dialogue series, which has Professor Jerry Ghana, Professor Oye Odidapo Obi, Amina Ayibola and Denelson Akpan as panelists centered on what is required and expected of a leader to succeed.
Nothing happens without leadership. If you get your leadership qualities right, the good leaders can get good things done rapidly. It is possible. It can be done. Most of our leaders don't have forbearance. They can't stand anything that's negative. They are all agitated. They don't want anybody to think they are the best of everything. No, you cannot be a leader.
But foresight and the ability to motivate, are often inherent. But character, can be developed.
And we also need partners, who will help in identifying leaders among us and grooming them to take over, leadership positions from their various constituencies.
Partners and participants, while contributing, asked, why is it that those that can lead and change the face of the country were never given the opportunity, adding that those who can lead are not ready to put up their reputation and life on the line for the country.
The leader should not wait until he is in the position of leadership before trying to find out what he wants to be or what he wants to achieve.
A 25-action plan was agreed upon, and they include
a merit-based system is important in our leadership renaissance process, and we must borrow a leaf from the likes of Martin Luther King Jr. and the late Dr. Nelson Mandela for real change to happen in our nation's leadership.
The 4th Nigerian Prize for Leadership National Leadership Dialogue Series comes up on the 28th of August 2020. Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
Let's head to our Port Harcourt studio to join Jenny for some more stories. Jenny, Eid Mubarak.
Very much, Ruth. Good evening and welcome to Port Harcourt. As Muslim faithful in Rivers State joined their counterparts across the globe to mark this year's Eid-el-Kabir, the need to imbibe the spirit of love, peace, kindness and sacrifice, as exemplified by the Holy Prophet Muhammad, was a thrust of the messages. Robinson Dorataide reports that the Eid prayer was observed in low key.
The festival, also called the Feast of Sacrifice, is regarded as the most important feast in the Islamic calendar. The Eid prayers in Rivers State was conducted in accordance with the COVID-19 protocols. Muslims gathered in their respective mosques instead of the usual Eid prayer ground to intercede for peace and unity of the country.
It is for them to humble themselves before God Almighty and become pious.
With the panic of the COVID-19, we know especially we can get opportunity like this to garden to pray, but we thank Allah.
We should be obedient. We should be steadfast all the time. We should be trustworthy, because Abraham alayhi salatu wasalam was obedient.
A significant part of the Eid-el-Kabir celebration is the symbolic slaughtering of the sacrificial ram. Some Muslim faithful in Port Harcourt were seen performing this sacrifice in their worship centers, while others were also seen celebrating in their homes. In Port Harcourt, Robinson Dorataide, NTA News.
Students and pupils in exit classes are expected to resume school on August 4, 2020 to sit for their final examinations. It is in the light of this that Rivers State government has distributed personal protective equipment and other health kits to help safeguard the lives of students sitting for the WAEC examination. Kingsley Amajiri reports that principals of public schools have also been tasked to ensure that everyone entering the schools adhere to the COVID-19 prevention protocols.
The steps by the State Ministry of Education is in furtherance to the reopening of schools in the state to enable those in their exit classes to sit for the final examination. The emergency engagement with heads of the 257 WAEC centers where the examination is expected to take place is to prepare them on what is required towards ensuring a safe environment for the students and their teachers.
School place is a more disciplined environment than the other places. We give the authority. Don't gather together means don't gather together. There must be social distancing. You made your word, isn't it? Yes. That is it. We will support you.
Are the school authorities ready? How prepared also are the students, especially with regards to covering the school curriculum?
The pandemic came a week to the closing of the school, and so a lot has been done. All we need to do now with this reopening is to talk about revision.
I know that there are some schools that have boreholes, like in my school, community secondary school like that. So what we are going to do is to put more taps.
Key priority to the authorities of the State Ministry of Education is to ensure a clean environment. As such, the principals were mandated to clean the overgrown school environment preparatory to the resumption. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
And that's it from here, but we'll now pause for some messages. Nationwide continues with Ruth shortly.
Thanks for staying with us. Let's bring you an update on COVID-19. The latest figures from the Nigeria Center for Disease Control indicates that 462 new cases of the virus have been confirmed in the country. The figures released at about midnight of July 31st shows that the FCT has the highest number of cases on the daily chart with 93 cases. This is closely followed by Lagos with 78, Plateau has 64, Kaduna 54, Oyo 47 and Ondo 32. Other states on the daily COVID-19 chart are Adamawa with 23 cases, Bauchi 19, Rivers, Ogun and Delta have 9 each, Edo 7, Kano and Enugu 6 each, Nasarawa 5, while Oshun has a case of the virus. So far, 43,151 cases of the virus have been confirmed in Nigeria, with 19,565 discharged and 879 deaths recorded, unfortunately. More on COVID, Kano State Task Force on COVID-19 has continued to expand its community testing initiative to ensure timely and total elimination of the viral disease. Coordinator, Technical Response Team, Dr. Tijani Hussaini, disclosed this while making a presentation at a periodic media briefing by the task force in Kano. Abdullahi Mustafa has more.
The briefing started with technical review of response activities in the last 2 weeks. In a presentation by the Coordinator Technical Response Team, Kano is witnessing significant success in testing, sample collection and case management. Of the more than 1,500 confirmed cases, about 70% have successfully been managed and discharged.
Kano is about 17% of the total samples collected so far in the country.
Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje observed that the recent increase in the state's positivity rate is not a setback, but an outcome of community testing. He restated that the state government will continue to ensure compliance with COVID-19 protocols, especially hand hygiene and use of face masks, which are being produced and distributed to the public free of charge. Governor Ganduje enjoined the people of Kano to continue to remain adherent to all medical advisories, especially during the Eid-el-Kabir celebrations. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
And in Yobe State, we hear that survivors of coronavirus are now taking the lead in campaign on prevention of the infectious disease and stigmatization in the state. Correspondent Ladi Bala reports that the coordinating effort of the Yobe State Ministry of Health and World Health Organization encouraged the survivors to join the fight against the disease.
Gathered in this hall are some of the survivors who have been through experience of COVID-19 and survived it. Instead of shying away from the reality of being survivors, they chose to share their experience and message of hope to encourage people to go for voluntary testing, as early detection saves life.
What we are going to be doing is that we should follow the preventive measures that was outlined by the NCDC. We should use face masks, we should wash our hands, we should keep social distancing.
Idan suna dauke da wannan cutan ba wani abu ne wanda za su daga hankalinsu ba. Ya kamata su su yi wannan su kebanta kansu sannan su kai kansu ga wajen da za su samu warakan shi.
The State Ministry of Health, in collaboration with World Health Organization and other partners, supported their initiative to run what it's tagged COVID-19 Heroes campaign.
COVID-19 is one of the diseases that characterized with stigma. People don't want to associate with a victim or someone who has suffered from COVID-19. So for people to come out to give testimony, I think it deserves to be celebrated.
This is a moment where we need to reflect on our gains and milestones and celebrate the successes that have been achieved and then re-energize for the task ahead.
Various speakers representing different organizations in the fight against the disease applauded the courage of the survivors and pledged to do more in addressing emerging health issues in Yobe State. In Damaturu, Latibala, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari is rejoicing with former Minister of Health, Prince Julius Adelusi Adeluyi, on his 80th birthday. In a personally signed letter, the president describes Adeluyi as an accomplished pharmacist, lawyer and boardroom player whose life is one signposted by many achievements that inspire the younger generation to noble ideals. President Buhari joins family, friends, associates and professional colleagues of the octogenarian to wish him longer life, greater strength and more salutary impact on the country and across all walks of life. Let's talk sports. Nigerians have continued to react to the Super Eagles striker Victor Osimhen's transfer deal to Napoli. Gift George has this and more on Sports Update.